house. Funny that at the age of 43 she still had to remind herself that she was a grown-up, but the move would be equally nerve-wracking and exciting. Kerry had lived in the annex of her childhood home since her and Beth's dad died in 1993, when she had just turned 17 and Beth 15. It had been his darkroom, a converted garage, and she did still love it, even though it was tiny and cramped. Besides, it had been worth putting up with because she had always known that one day she would move back into the big house. Now that day was almost here. Her mum had told her years ago that she would make sure you'll be taken care of, Kerry love, and not left with nothing when she died. That Beth was already sorted financially, so it was only fair Kerry should be allowed to stay in the house until she chose to sell up, especially when she became her mother's carer, to all intents and purposes. It was all agreed. Kerry would rent out the annex, and Beth would have the income from that, in lieu of splitting the proceeds of the house sale. Everybody happy. Today, Kerry couldn't stop wondering, had her mother enjoyed her life? Did she die feeling as if she had lived well, been happy, achieved good things? Kerry realised that she really didn't know, and this upset her. They had literally never spoken about that kind of stuff. Everyone thought her parents had been blissfully happy, and they certainly seemed to have been, despite the evidence Kerry once found that seemed to suggest otherwise. But her dad had been dead for over a quarter of a century. What of all those years of widowhood? Had they been blighted by her grief? Kerry had practically lived with her mother for all of them, while across the driveway in her garage, and she genuinely had no idea. Beth had moved out as soon as she finished her A-levels and gone to uni, and Kerry always suspected that their mother wished it had been Beth who stayed, and she, Kerry, who left, although that could have been her own projecting. Kerry was at least emotionally articulate enough to realise that. She should have talked to her mum more, she thought, miserably. Asked her about herself, her feelings, her state of mind. She missed her mother, but it was only now she realised that she had been missing her for years before she died too. Kerry just hadn't been able to confide in her. She didn't know why. But she was left with an overwhelming feeling of having failed her mother, despite having been the one who technically was there for her. She'd checked in with her from the annex every day, done her shopping, eaten meals with her most nights, organised repairs, paid the bills, all still with a nagging sense of inadequacy, that she wasn't Beth. Kerry had also thought that her mum would be around for a lot longer. 75 felt far too young to die these days. These were the sorts of dark thoughts that scrolled through Kerry's head on a repetitive loop. Today they were at odds with the perfect summer weather, warm and breezy, with bright fluffy clouds scudding past the sun. She wished the contents of her brain would drift past like that too, and not keep going round and round in tedious, tear-soaked circles. Rotund sheep grazed lazily in the field around her, and a tiny baby bunny hopped across Kerry's eyeline. Rolling patchwork hills stretched to the horizon. It was proper English countryside. But she couldn't enjoy it. Not properly. All she could think of was her mum, and how she would never again be able to listen to music with her. It had been their own private indulgence, a secret passion shared by no one else in the years since the death of Kerry's dad. Kerry's 40-minute lunch break was currently being spent in the grounds of Lord Buckley's country estate, her preferred lunch venue whenever the sun was out. She always felt her shoulders slowly slide back down from where they'd been hunched around her ears. Unless it was raining, when she usually sat in the van in a lay-by, not nearly as bucolic, and her tears felt more bitter when she couldn't shed them freely. Worried as she was that some well-meaning dog walker would stumble across her crying and make unwanted inquiries into her mental state. Nobody wanted to see a weeping postwoman. Her favourite spot was on the brow of a hill, just off the mile-long private driveway towards Dunsmore House, about halfway along.